excellence in sports entertainment.
Right. I got two left hooves. Who on test? Well, since nobody's stepping to me, take me to your cult leader. Take me to your local drug dealer. Take me to the man in the mirror when you stand and deliver with your hand on the trigger. An emotional terrorist. IMMUNE. Never make my enemy public. I'm a private dancer, dancing for money. Do that thing that's funny. I'll make you wanna laugh. I'll make you wanna move. I'll make you wanna do. Do that thing that's funny. I'll make you wanna laugh. I'll make you wanna.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Spot Monkey Radio. My name is Mike Greco. Alongside of me is the quickest mouth in the East, Malik Williams. How we doing, friend?
The fact that you just called me that is absolutely hilarious. I am good. I am ready to talk about some wrestling.
Wrestling, and we got a lot going on right now, all over the place.
Yeah, just last night we had a TNA Genesis. If you want to start off with things.
No, we're gonna save that. We're gonna leave that as
we're saving it.
The final taste of everything. What we're gonna get right into though is the go home tonight for Monday night for Saturday night main event. Tonight's Monday Night Raw.
Correct.
So I know announced already. Go ahead.
The big match. Are we talking about for tonight's Raw? Obviously, the big rematch for WrestleMania 40. Seth Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre. Which is very interesting.
Starting to see?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, are we starting to see the prelude to a Seth heel turn?
That's a tough one to call. I mean, it seems like it's there, but it's not fully all the way turned.
Because they keep teasing this whole thing with Punk still. I know this is going into Rumble, so you can go 100 different ways with this. I'm hoping we're not getting a Punk Seth Drew match at WrestleMania.
I don't think that's needed at all. It can't be. One of those guys has the challenge come through. One of them.
And that goes to my to my next point. Would that mean then that one of them win the Rumble, or is that just they'll be the Elimination Chamber match?
I could definitely see it being 3 guys from Raw, 3 guys from SmackDown. One of them goes in to get the shot for whatever title has him chosen, which would be the best idea to go forward with. I mean, having a draft and everything really shows that it doesn't matter. Having this, it's not a superstar shakeup. I can't remember the exact name.
Transfer portal.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
We're taking names from college sports.
Everybody is just coming through. So one minute, you're there and you're seeing Rhea Ripley from last week on Raw in the ring cutting a promo, and then Nia Jax shows up, and I'm just like, wait, what? I didn't watch Raw until last night, so I was confused on what was going on.
Yeah, it was weird. Bailey was there. Like everyone, it's kind of all over the place right now. Which going into Rumble, I don't mind because at least with Royal Rumble, you're going to get everyone mixing together.
Yeah. And what we saw was just a little tease, a taste of what could be.
Right. I think also at some point, the Gunther thing is starting to wear off, I feel, on people. I think as champion,
I may have to agree with you. He's been showcased more. Yes. He was showcased more as the IC champion. I don't understand what it is now that he's world heavyweight champion and you're seeing less and less of him. And it may have seemed like that since probably his loss to Cody at Crown Jewel, I think.
Yeah. I agree. And I feel they haven't, I don't know, he had the feud with Priest. And that's really been it. Like I can't think of anything else he's done during this title reign that you are like, this Gunther, he's going to be such a great champion. But unfortunately, you've given him nobody.
Basically, you're giving him a bunch of rematches You're giving him Finn Balor. Now you're giving him Jey Uso, who also at the same time declared himself to be in the Royal Rumble. At this point, the way I'm seeing it is, if you lose on Saturday's main event, maybe you shouldn't even be in the Royal Rumble. That's just an opinion
I
of
agree.
mine. I don't think anybody's going to agree, but like what are we
So
what are we
I
doing
agree with
here?
I agree with that, especially if you were doing a title change.
Yes.
Because now, like that closes off your road to WrestleMania. Like you lose this match, you're not only losing this match, but you're out of the Rumble. You know what? Maybe they should have threw that in there as a stipulation. Like you want this match so bad, you can't be in the Rumble if you lose this match.
Also, the way everything is booked is we're showing that the World Heavyweight Championship is not going to be defended at the Royal Rumble. We are putting it up as a big thing for Saturday night's main event, so it'll get its own showcase there, as opposed to how they did the first edition of Saturday night's main event from last December. I feel like there's not much hype to this weekend show. I don't know if it's just me, but that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I feel like Raw right now, it's kind of in a flux. Like I don't want to say they hit a reset button. We're going to Netflix, but we're going to Netflix. It's kind of we barely see Braun Breaker. Like we haven't seen the War Raiders really. Like you have all these champions and all the now you have 3 hours again. Like in a 2 hour show, I felt like it was going like that because you had 47 things happening, and now like that you have so much more time. Like it's kind of just
Okay,
there.
I will disagree with you on one small little thing. We have seen the War Raiders. We have seen Braun Breaker. We've seen them sit out in the audience. That's what we've seen them do for the most part. I mean, still, even thinking back to when we saw Cody on Raw, wasn't it a little weird for their debut for Cody to be sitting in the audience 1 minute, praised by The Rock the next, gone, disappeared, and then to attack Kevin Owens? And like, why didn't he just hop over the barricade and attack Kevin Owens? Like, I mean,
And we're showing Cody, the champion of SmackDown, in the crowd. Where was Gunther? Where was your champion?
not even on the show.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even. I think they did like a video package during commercials. I don't even think like you got like a real feel of who he is.
That is what they did. So we have Jey Uso challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther at Saturday night's main event. We also, the match that I think just recently got announced on SmackDown was the Monster versus the Samoan Werewolf. We'll see Braun Strowman taking on Jacob Fatu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So with that being said, obviously we see that Jacob Fatu not only had a breakout year within his debut, he's going to have a big year as long as he can stay healthy going
Mm-hmm.
forward this year, because something massive is going to happen with him. I'm sure of it.
I have a feeling that I don't know if it's going to be pre-mania, or post-mania. We're going to wind up with him and Roman, either him and Roman, or they're going to do the him and Solo thing maybe sooner. Maybe Solo feels a certain way over what happened last week on SmackDown, and they're going to go for that way at least with Solo. Because other than that, I can't think of anything else you do with Solo right now.
Well, currently, if you look at it, he's lost his smile in a sense, so to speak. Losing the Ulafala is just got him all disheveled and messed up. So I kind of see what they're doing there, but now it's just like, all right, there's no control of Jacob Fatu, so he's just going to go off the rails with Tama Tonga.
I do like that. I gotta say one thing with Strowman. Like people could be like, "Oh, he's not great in the ring," all this other stuff. When it comes to him and other big guys, like we clearly saw it with him and Bronson Reed. Like he has matches that you want to watch with these guys.
Yes.
And he always has. It's the one thing I give him for a guy his size. Like he's not the most technical, but you don't sit there. It's not watching the Great Khali.
Thankfully, it's not.
Thankfully. Thankfully. So we're also heading into the LA Knight storyline still with Jacob, so you could still kind of have him go off onto that route. I don't know if they're going to put Jacob in any kind of big thing before. Maybe I don't see him being in Elimination Chamber because you're not going to have him take a loss beforehand.
Still, Jacob is yet to have been pinned, I believe. Like he has losses, but nobody's pinned him. So
Nobody's
it's
pinned him.
like,
Yeah, well, he has like the loss in the in War Game stuff like that.
correct. Yes, all in tag stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm looking forward to see what happens there. I'm trying to figure out were there any women's matches that were announced because I'm just like, all right, as many women's titles that we have, WWE Women's Champion, Women's World Heavyweight Championship, Women's Intercontinental, Women's US, Women's Tag. We're not. I don't even know if they're even showcasing any of those titles. Something should be announced, if not tonight, maybe Friday night.
So, and we're kind of bouncing around here between Raw and SmackDown, which I know our producer is going to yell at us for this. But what I'm going to say with this, it pertains to both women's secondary titles. Here's the problem. Chelsea's done a great job with making you feel like the women's U.S. title is important. She's only defended it one time, I think, or wrestled once since winning it. But she's got the personality that you see her, and she makes you want to watch her.
Yes.
I don't see that happen with Valkyrie.
There has been nothing that really attracts anybody's attention other than her in-ring work for Lyra Valkyria.
Valkyrie, sorry, I said Valkyrie. I guess
It's almost all the same. But her as champion, I mean, last week was probably the best. I got to give credit where credit's due. The best Dakota Kai has ever looked in WWE. Now that
Agreed.
she's back, she's had two bad knee injuries over time, which has kept her in and out of the ring. So that's the reason why, like, you finally got to see her do something, which is cool. I wasn't surprised that Valkyria won, but like, all right, who's going to be the big challenge for her? That title's just now taking off from last week. So I guess we got to give it a little bit of time to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I felt like the U.S. tournament had at least a little more flavor to it. Maybe there was because it was better. Other than EO, there was no one really in the IC title tournament that I was just like, oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe that's
Nobody.
the first few.
Zoe Stark was somebody I thought she would have went far. She's one of the females that I enjoyed watching. I think when she faced Rhea Ripley a year or so ago, they really were just like, all right, you can just hang back and just be in this group. I almost called them pure something pop collection, but Pure Fusion Collection. Yeah. There we go. That's their name. Don't want to get in trouble. It's like let's see. With Chelsea Green, she's gonna be, fighting off. Gosh, she's with the Street Profits. I can't even think of her name right now. She just wrestled B-Fab and Mia Yim. It's like, how long could you keep that going? Because eventually she has to switch up, or even Piper Niven turn on her at some point. Because Chelsea Green will be a babyface at some point, I think.
Agreed. Because she's one of the ones, she doesn't try to play the tweener. She tries to be the heel at all times and still is just over.
Correct. How do you feel about the tag team scene on SmackDown? You have the Motor City Machine Guns, you have Angel and Berto, you have Pretty Deadly, and you have Ciampa and Gargano.
Wait, what was that an eye roll for Pretty Deadly? Do we not like Yes Boy?
Yes. I did like him in the beginning, but now I don't mind the goofing off, but I just want to see like they never win anything. They're just there to get beat every time. Like,
but I feel like that's the start. I feel like this is the start for them. They're finally getting more airtime. Like, I thought the musical thing has been hysterical with Braun Strowman. Like, and at least you're seeing them on TV every week. Like, I feel like this is the slow build for them. They're doing the stuff with Braun. Now they're starting to do stuff with DIY and Angel and Garza, who I think are going to be sent over to Raw. And I feel those are two guys that are coming into their own finally. I would get them as far away from Escobar and the whole, I don't know what that growth was. I was going to say LWO, but I can't put everybody in the LWO because that's just mean and that's bad form. But
Okay,
that's what it
so
feels like.
I see what you're saying about Angel and Berto. They are going to need a mouthpiece though. So splitting them from Santos, I would love for
Well,
Santos to do bigger things. I'm a
right.
fan of Santos Escobar,
You could
but
have Elektra just go in with them.
well, she's got to talk then. She can't just be
Well,
standing
that's
around.
true. And we don't know if she can talk because she hasn't really
She
done
never
much
gets
of
a
that.
chance to. She chimes in and says
Agreed.
little things, and that's it. Like at
Yeah.
least when I hear
Yeah.
B Fab talk, she gets time. She gets airtime. She's being trusted to wrestle. She's not great,
And
but she's doing something where I'm just like, all right, I see you.
I didn't think she was terrible the other day. Like I've never
No,
really watched one of her matches, but I was entertained enough not to turn it off.
that was probably the second time I actually seen her wrestle, other than the time she was in I
The
think it was
triple
a
threat.
triple threat match for the U.S. title tournament. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I think we're gonna get the machine guns and Gargano and Ciampa, if not at the Rumble the night before. I feel like they might be cheating their audience at the Royal Rumble by not putting that match on a PLE. That's just my opinion. Like I like the show starts at 6 o'clock, which I take as a blessing that they do these earlier
Right.
shows. It's just better
Yeah.
that
Oh,
way.
100%. Yeah.
Um, so the show's gonna go to at least near 10 o'clock. It's two Rumble
Well,
matches. There's got to be a
I don't know if
championship
there's a
match, and there's
UFC.
got to be another.
Yeah. If there's a UFC pay per view that night, they'll go exactly till 10. They
Oh
won't cut
Jesus!
into the UFC pay per view time because that's
Because I'm like,
that's what they're doing now.
okay, because we have the men's Rumble, we have the women's Rumble, we have the undisputed title championship ladder match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, which this has probably been some of Kevin Owens' best work in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
He seems very motivated. And if it's one thing we know about Kevin Owens is that at the Royal Rumble, he's always somehow in the title picture.
In
If
the title
not
picture.
defending, going for a title, which has been like his ongoing streak of things at the Royal Rumble. Whether he wins or loses, he's still a made man.
I think with the tag team scene, I think they kind of jumped the gun with Machine Guns losing the titles when they did. I would have pushed it off until right around. I would have did it at Saturday Night Main Event or something, and had DIY do the full heel turn then, and then you could have done something then like building toward Elimination Chamber and Mania with Street because now Street Profits are hurt. Like I kind of feel like you have a lot of guys in limbo, but then at the same time, like a lot of guys that you're just kind of like, eh. Like I love the Street Profits, but by now Montez Ford deserves a singles run. Like
I
let's see what
think,
the Shawn Michaels of the group can do.
okay, see, kind of feel like you're one of those people that's sleeping on Angelo Dawkins because Dawkins is doing work too. Maybe not to the extent of Montez Ford. I understand what you're saying, but he's also doing work. And I feel like if they were to split to do solo things and not have this tag team that breaks up and starts feuding because nobody wants to see that between the two of them, just let them run and do their own thing. They could still be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Send one to SmackDown. It kind of what you did with the Dudleys. You kind of had just Devon and Bubba just kind of split it first,
Yes.
and Devon went heel, and Bubba, went to Raw. I feel like you could do that. Oh, Dawkins in the ring is so underrated. Like, doesn't get
Yes.
enough credit for what he does in the ring. I don't
Wholeheartedly
know
agree.
on the mic how well he'll do because we've never like overly heard him in a feud where he can carry a program.
Okay. So did they finish this mini tag team tournament? Because I feel like the
Yes,
finals was
DIY,
supposed.
DIY, not DIY. Machine Guns won on Friday. They beat Garza and
Okay. So they should face Do It Yourself. That's a tag team. I gotta tell you right now, one of the stupidest tag team names ever. DIY, and there's two of you. Do it yourself, or do it
the
y'all,
lone
because that's what
the
it
Lone
is now.
Rangers.
Like, ugh. The theme music is trash. I know if a friend sees this, he's gonna give me crap about it at some point. Um, I am looking forward to the rematch. I do feel like if they're going to be given more time, it's going to be most likely on a 3-hour SmackDown, probably as early as next week. If I am right, don't be mad at me. Just remember who said it first. Here's a good question. I know that we're still on the topic of SmackDown, but you do know that NXT is going to center stage next Tuesday. There'll be an ATL, and they're having Naomi and Bianca defend the women's tag titles up against Metaphor, Jakara Jackson, and Jesus Christ, why I keep
I
forgetting names today?
Not Lash,
Lash Legend. There we go.
Lash Legend. There you go.
So we've lost Jade Cargill, and who do you think is behind it? Is it Bianca? Is it Naomi? I mean, who is the culprit to this? Is it Charlotte? Like, where are we going with this?
So I think we're gonna wind. So I don't think it's Charlotte because I think Charlotte's gonna be on Raw, and I don't think Jade's making that jump. I think it's gonna be Bianca.
Okay, before you go forward, what you just said, we see a small vignette of Charlotte Flair coincidentally before Tiffany Stratton's entrance, and you think she's going to Raw. I just
Oh
want you to think
no, you're
about
right.
that
I'm
for a
sorry.
little moment.
I'm sorry. No, my apologies. You are 100% right because that was SmackDown. You're 100% right. Becky's
Correct.
going back to Raw. Charlotte's going to SmackDown, and we're gonna get Charlotte and I think Tiffany at WrestleMania, which would be a damn good match. I'm all for that. And
Yes,
I
we'll get.
think it's
I'm sorry. I just want to say we're going to get Cher versus Sabrina Carpenter. Continue.
and I 100% think it's Bianca because the way I think it could be both of them. I think that you could sell it as both of them took out Jade. Bianca didn't want her as a partner no more, and Naomi wasn't going to take backseat to someone that just came in.
Are you enjoying babyface Jade? Now, let's bring her back to where she was in AEW. And the problem was, I felt like the charisma has always been there. She
Mhm.
obviously needed to put in the in-ring work, and her promos are not terrible. They're not great, but they're not
Not great,
terrible.
right?
I don't know if I want to see her as a babyface, and I don't know if Bianca is ready to turn heel. I mean, it's been a long time coming because
So,
since her
so
being on the main roster, she's always been the good guy. So, I feel like she could never turn back to being bad. It's almost like seeing John Cena, the way he's been for all of these years. I kind of put Bianca in that same level of ranking there with like, she should just be a babyface still.
I respectfully disagree. I
That's
think
fair.
she I think she can go heel and she could play. I'm gonna curse a little, not too much. She could play that bad bitch role, like
Okay.
kind of what Jade was. But I think since Jade right now still can't carry, I don't know if Jade can go in a promo in a good 10-minute in ring segment, but I think Bianca can, and that's
Of
where
course.
you can. I think that's where you can cover up Jade as the face because the face doesn't get as much in that promo, and Bianca can just be like, "You came in with all the glitz and glamour. I had to work my way up. I was in the performance center. I was in
Mhm.
random no-name rumbles. Like I had to earn my way here, and you just walked in the door, and everyone knew who you were."
I mean, let's see. If there was anybody that had the most to gain, it would be Naomi. A heel turn for Naomi would be interesting because now there's really, since she's come back now, they're really giving her something to do. Um,
Yes.
I, I felt like her main event match where the title changed, though she didn't win it. Tiffany Stratton won the title from Nia Jax. I
Naya.
felt like
Yep.
there was a good showing in that match there. So like Naomi's doing better as far as in ring. Now for her to turn heel possibly is where you're like, all right, now we're gonna see what you could possibly do if they do go in that direction. Like they're not talking about it as much as they should, but I have a feeling within, if not this week, next week, there'll be more on the topic.
And I gotta say, probably if not her two best, it's by far her best with her. The two matches Naomi and Nia Jax had were really good.
Yes.
Like they were good. Like not even like oh yeah, they were a good match. No, they were really good. Like it's the first time I looked at Nia Jax, I was like, oh, Okay, you can wrestle.
Let's see. Tiffany Stratton defeated Bailey on SmackDown. Who do you think is the
Yes.
next big? Who you think is the next big challenger? I feel like they are straying away from giving us this uh, Stratton Jax one-on-one match. Like it has to happen, but maybe it'll happen at like maybe let's say Elimination Chamber in March.
Elimination Chamber. Yeah, I think that's where that goes. And then this way you get that out of the way and you're going then into whatever she's going to do at Mania, which is, again, like we said, probably Charlotte. That's your money match. I could see even, I don't know if Charlotte, you have to have Charlotte then win the Elimination Chamber. I don't know if Charlotte comes back to win Rumble.
Like that, like they're like, here's what Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, hell, even Bianca are females who do not need to win the Rumble.
Right.
But I bet
Right.
you they are top choices to win it. If it was me, I would not want if Bianca was to win, I definitely would want her to go right over to Raw to go against Rhea Ripley. Since that is a
Yep.
match we have yet to have gotten on a big stage. Yeah.
Yeah. And
They're-
when Rhea won her Rumble, who did she eliminate last?
Of course. So yeah, that works for me.
Also, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm always going to bring this up. When we first started this show about 5 years ago, I would say originally, some maniac said, "Oh, the girl that was in this NXT Battle Royal whipping people with her hair, I really enjoyed her, and I think she's going to be really good." And I'm just going to say the guy turned out to be right. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Are you referring to yourself without saying it directly?
People that will now watch this show will learn that you and I have no ego at all. Like, we will never, ever.
No, absolutely not.
At all.
If I say something and it turns out to be gospel, it's just because it's the truth. It is what it is.
That's how it is.
No, I mean, Bianca has blown up since. If it's one female's character that you never see looking weak on TV, it's hers.
Right.
Since hitting the main roster, period. What they do next, it should be very interesting. That's why I'm thinking about what could happen at Center Stage because just so happens to be that's where Jade is from, Atlanta. So if she were to come in and potentially cost them the tag titles because she attacked her attacker,
is that match before Rumble or is it the week after Rumble?
It's before Rumble. It's next Tuesday, the 28th.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it would be a good way. Like, you don't even have to have her come in to attack. You could just have her walk out, like just come out like at the entrance.
And one of them's in shock, and then that kind of gives away, like, oh, was it her? Like,
Yeah. I feel I like this girl. She's the one that's with Trick. Is it Lash with Trick or it's the other one?
Lash Legends with Trick. Lash Legends with Trick.
I think they see a little something in her.
Yeah, I thought for a minute both girls were put on SmackDown as permanents, but it doesn't seem like that's the turn yet.
Yeah, and I also think they don't have that many. I mean, they have a lot of women in NXT. I don't feel like they have a lot of good tag teams.
I was about to go. They have plenty of women on on all shows. Period. NXT slowly will resemble Glow if they didn't have any guys on it. And I'm not saying that to say like that's a bad thing, but predominantly there is always a female segment no matter what when you look up. And because also they do, they intertwine segments with different people all together at one time,
right?
Which is different, and I don't mind it. It kind of reminds me of when I'm playing one of these 2K games, walking around throughout the arena, and you bump into people because that's what it's giving.
Well, and now we can transition over to NXT. My thing, I said this to you the other day in another group chat. I'm starting to realize that I don't think, like, people complain about like the amount of women wrestling on NXT. I personally don't mind. I can care less. If I'm entertained, I'm entertained. Okay, but I feel like there's not enough like A+ men on NXT. Like Oba right now is the guy, and I'm all for Oba. You got me into Oba. I'm I'm an Oba feminist through and through.
Exactly.
I like Trick. I think Trick is a great entrance. I think Trick is good on the mic. I don't think Trick is great in the ring. I think he's had the luxury of going against other guys that have been really good, and it's made him look better. After that, I'm kind of just
Totally
like,
agree. I agree with everything. I agree with everything you're saying. One of the guys that I like watching a lot on NXT has been Ethan Page. Ethan Page. Ethan Page is finally getting all that he's working for, all that he's earned. Period. So I'm really willing to see where they go forward with this, as far as him just being this maniac and just destroying people's limbs or breaking people's jaws. Like,
Yep.
he's just so unhinged and going off the rails. It's just like, all right, what do we do going forward? I like Wesley, but he's, smaller guy. I don't think they should have turned him heel. Should have kept him as that, that underneath underdog baby face. I'm not crazy about that change. I agree with everything you said about Trick Williams. Obafemi is the man. Tony D'Angelo, despite the over-the-top Italian gimmick, because it's just, I feel like it's disrespectful to my Italian people.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. It's over the top. And it makes you think that Vince is still there because he would love to see that. I feel like as he's still continuing to come up, he's somebody that I watch. But as far as you're saying, like the quality of matches with certain people, I just feel like, a guy that could have, two guys that if they didn't get released and they still remained on the roster, Mustafa Ali and Dijak, if they were still there, they would have been great additions to the NXT roster now with being on the CW.
Agreed.
So it's like, who do you find? Tavian Heights, that's a part of No Catch Quarter Crew,
Mm-hmm.
is somebody that needs to be watched. The work that he was
just
doing
went to he
in
went to Noah,
Japan,
right?
yes.
Yes.
The work he was doing there was awesome. And I feel like he needs to be showcased the same way they've been showcasing Regal's son, Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey's really
Yep.
good. If there's a match that I've seen this month that is must watch, the speed match between Charlie Dempsey and Chad Gable is
Yep.
absolutely amazing. Period. Like, bar
So
none.
you just said a name that I think if you did the right way, you could send Gable down. And I don't think right now between the three brands that anything's a demotion. That like sending
No.
someone to NXT is like, I think if you sent Gable down, you can make him at some point the NXT champion.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a nice run for him.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know what the fear is though? When they send guys down to NXT, the potential, like to me, if you send Chad Gable, I don't see him getting released.
Right.
When they sent Corbin, I thought this was the rebuild of Baron Corbin, and then before you know it, he was gone. You're like, damn.
Yeah, and Corbin and Breaker were great. That was as entertaining as could be.
Yes. So now you're like, all right.
I think with Corbin, it was more because of his contract. I don't know how much money he was getting.
He's probably getting a lot of money.
Yeah. Like I think like certain guys, it was more like that. I think with Dijak, I don't know what exactly happened with him because they sent him back down and he was doing well.
Allegedly, it was his mouth going to the dirt sheets. Allegedly, I like to say allegedly because we don't know the facts. We weren't there.
We don't know,
but that's just a rumor that's going around. If it was just 5 people that I would tell people to watch on NXT, Obafemi is one. The guy could talk. The guy could work.
Best entrance.
Stephanie Vacure is somebody I really enjoy watching in the ring. So when the day comes for her to get called up, Roxanne Perez, for the time that she still has in NXT, is somebody I'll say to watch, regardless of how small she is. She could go. Let's see. Trick is still on my list, but I'm gonna put Ethan Page before I put Trick Williams.
Agreed. 100% agree. I think Ethan Page right now is becoming like the heel, like the heel we thought he was going to be when Team Canada split up.
Yes, and
when he went to AEW, I think this is the guy we thought we were getting.
Yes, and I think I got to go with if I said 4 already. Last but not least, I know a lot of people are not going to be crazy about him because of all the flippity and flighting stuff, but Javon Evans will come into his own. He will come into his
You
own over time.
you can have guys like Javon Evans. If you could have a roster if you have 10 guys and you have 2 Javon Evans, that's
Mhm.
perfectly fine. You can't have 9 Javon Evans because then
No,
there's nothing special.
correct.
I agree, and he's young. Like he's got a lot to go. It's not like they're gonna rush him.
Can we now?
I
Go ahead, continue.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I hate to chime in, but I saw that guy at Catalyst Wrestling when we were producing Javon,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I knew it then. What you're saying, that he had something, that he was going to go to the show real quick. It was just something about him. So that's a
As
very,
no, continue.
that was a very good name to drop, because he's a very good, he's a very talented dude.
As long as he's maintained to be produced, he'll be fine. The sky's the limit for that guy. Because we kind of got to discuss TNA and WWE.
Yeah.
The
We could start that transition.
the partnership, because it kind of, this still manages to be NXT related.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like we're getting a Masha Slamovich Cora Jade feud through this.
Yeah.
For the TNA Knockouts Championship, and we're getting Nathan Frazier and Fraxium to take
Fraxium,
on,
the Rascals.
yes, the Rascals. And I'm just like, the fact that they needed to make mention that they were the number one contenders, and I was just like, they are? I didn't remember because it was that long ago that they were on NXT television, the Rascals. So
Well,
I'm just like, looking,
this guy Miguel, Trey Miguel got hurt. Well, he got taken out, but he got hurt,
got you.
and that was that whole thing. But yeah, no, that's a callback. That makes sense. So that's why it's
Okay.
kind of like, okay, this works. I'll give you something to now. We're talking about the merger or the partnership.
Yes.
So Ethan Page, he took out Javon Evans. He took out
Yes.
Cedric Alexander. So now you're going to have the two of them now want their payback. Ethan
Mhm.
Page is going to need a little help. And last night at the pay-per-view, someone quit TNA,
Yes.
and that's one Josh Alexander.
So I've been waiting for the day that Josh Alexander left TNA to come to WWE, because I feel like it's going to happen. Whether it be him going to the main roster or ultimately going to NXT, I'm all for it. A nice, nice little crossover. Obviously TNA with this partnership is working wonders than they ever did with AEW, because my God,
NXT
AEW
has done more for TNA than AEW could have ever done.
absolutely, absolutely.
And even
Like,
in losses, even Jordan Grace coming to TNA, she won a couple matches, but she lost the title match. Joe Hendry lost the
yeah,
title match. Even in those losses, it meant more for them to be shown, because
yes,
now people are like, oh, I want to see this person in TNA. Oh, let me also check out what else they have.
yes. I'm just ready to see what they do. Uh, Slammiversary is going to be here in New York. I'm going to be in Long Island, and it just happens to have tickets for my first TNA pay per view. So I'm actually looking forward to going now, knowing that they had this partnership with WWE. Because at this point, you never know what's going to happen, and they could sell out.
That's in July.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Maybe I'll come join you.
Where is that?
What's that?
Where is
What's
that
that
going to
Tom?
be? That pay-per-view, where is that going to be?
It's going to be, I think, in UBS,
the
right?
UBS arena. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, good for them. For real, good for them.
And now, this is smart for them, because if you put the right guys on it, you have your TNA guys, you get a couple of the NXT guys. I'm sure that they're going to want to sell that place out, just to be like, look, even TNA could sell out this place. So you're going to probably get a main roster guy or two down there, and that's just a win for everybody.
Like, it's very interesting to see the different companies using different arenas or centers. Like, obviously, you had just last night, GCW was over at the Hammerstein, over at the Manhattan Center, But the month before that, we had AEW, which was already strange that, now more than, as at least I think 4 or 5 promotions over the years from the 90s to now have used the Manhattan Center. WWE, ECW, Ring of Honor, hell, TNA even uses, so 6.
TNA
So
used it.
like,
Yeah, that's when
yeah,
when
so
Dixie
like,
got
so
put through
like
the
the more and
table.
more you're seeing wrestling come out through there and continue to flourish has been great. Uh, to see where the business is going now today is more and more interesting. I know that a lot of people have watched and they fall out with it, and then there's always something that brings them back. So hopefully, more and more of these things keep happening, because there is a rumor going around that possibly NXT could be coming to the Manhattan Center, and if it does, I'm definitely planning on getting tickets.
I will say I give TNA credit. I watched most of Genesis. I just fell asleep at night. Like I just couldn't stay up, but I caught the rest of it this morning. They put on a solid pay-per-view. They put on a pay-per-view where they do matches with the right kind of promos, the right kind of video packages, where even if, like I didn't know everything going on between Jordan and Tessa, but
Correct.
watching the video package, I understood why this match is happening.
I gotta say that match for me was probably match of the night. If there were
Agreed.
if there were 3 matches I say that I watched from the show from beginning to end that I was just like, okay, I'm into this. That was the first match for me that I say was match of the night. The pre-show match between Frankie Kazarian and Leon Slater was really good. It was a nice opener. The main event between Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, that was really good. And honorable mention, the I Quit match between Josh Alexander and Mike Santana. Those were all really good matches. Not to say that everything else wasn't good, but those are the matches that stood out for me that I enjoyed the most. That I was just into it, like into it.
I agree. My only issue with Tessa and Jordan, I wish they would have went about, and this is my issue a lot of times with matches, just me, about 5 minutes less. I think you would have got the same story. I saw it. You could clearly see Tessa was having a problem ripping off the turnbuckle pad. Like she
Oh
tried
my
on like
god, that was funny. Yes,
four different
yes.
ones, and I give them credit. They tried, sometimes on the fly there, you got to just think of something else. But at the
So,
same time, yeah.
so Tessa. My thing is Tessa was victorious. I enjoyed the match. I hated the finish. The reason why I hated
Yeah,
the finish is
exactly.
the referee sees her trying to
Right.
rip this turnbuckle cover off to use the exposed, which is still covered. You don't even get to see the metal.
It was
So I was just like, why even bother going for it altogether? But the referee saw her do it, smash this girl face first
exactly.
into it, and then hit her finish, and then 1, 2, 3, and I was just like, what are we doing? That was the only issue that I had, and I think sometimes I'm too critical and too literal with the way I'm thinking about things and how it should have been done. But
No, I agree.
overall, I felt I enjoyed the match. They beat the crap out of each other. I thought
It was
that
stiff.
the way they were going, it was like somebody owed somebody money. The way it looked, when she hit her with that like snap jackhammer on the floor, I was like, but why? I understand. Also, never thought I'd hear this in wrestling, but I have a feeling we might hear it on Saturday Night's Main Event. Um, a chant "She's a racist" is wild. I I'm not gonna even go into the whole backstory and all that stuff, but just to hear that is
Agreed.
wild.
Where my only comment on that is, I feel because when she came out, she got a reaction. You heard
Yes,
boos, you heard cheers. Like
yes,
I feel like that was, and our wonderful producers definitely got a button to push right now. That was the Marks kind of just wanting to have their own thing. Like they wanted to be part of the show. It's like, oh, we're gonna chant this because people know people know about this. Or if you don't know about it, oh, now they're gonna go look it up. To me, that's a
correct.
takeover of a match that wasn't needed. I'm
Yeah.
sure whatever's happened. We're gonna move on from it, and enough people have forgiven whatever's happened that she's able to work there again.
Well, to be fair, TNA is that one company that just like no matter what it is that you have done, they will always turn around and give you a second chance. So
Yeah,
I see that happening, but now it's just like, all right. The way I saw it also is I was like, if WWE doesn't have an issue with it and they're still willing to do this partnership, go ahead. Let's see what she could probably do in the WWE ring, if possible. The potential of all these things are all there for what it is as
Yep.
a fan you would like to see. So you just have to hang back, see what's going to go down next.
Something I took away from last night, and I'm more than happy for the guy, because if there's anybody that's worked harder over the last year, it's Joe Hendry. However, maybe it's just me. I feel we've waited too long. I think Bound for Glory was when you should have made this title move, because that was his peak. That's where, like, he was doing NXT. The song was at the top of the charts. Like, everything was there for him. And where now I'm just kind of like, I'm happy for him. He deserves it. But the shine kind of wore off for me.
I get what you're saying, because for months he was hot. I like white hot. But I get what they were doing. I said if he were to lose last night, I'll be like, oh, forget it. Charge the day. It's over. He he will not matter as much in the later months. I feel like he's going to have a short title reign, if I'm being honest. He's going to have the title for X amount of months. And it's weird that the guy that might take the title off of him just so happens to be Frankie Kazarian, because that's the one guy that was a part of TNA from, I don't know, 2003. Left, came back, left, came back on more than one occasion. Now they're finally going to give him that burn to be the champion. So I'm like, maybe a little before Slammiversary, that could be the guy walking into Slammiversary, the champion. If it's not Joe Hendry, I don't see them having the title on Joe Hendry for that long. And I don't even want to compare him to Trick Williams, but there's like, he can go in the ring, but there are those
Yeah.
similarities that you see that are sitting there.
Yes. I think the guy, and it's funny, we talked about Slammiversary before. If done the right way, because it's starting to build that way, I think Mike Santana could be the guy come Long Island in July. And that makes that makes the loss for Hendry not as bad, because Santana will get cheered in New York. He's a New York kid.
Selfishly, because I obviously know the guy. It's one of the main reasons why.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
I don't care. If we're gonna talk facts, let's talk facts. Selfishly,
Again,
it's one of the main reasons why I'm attending the show.
I hate to chime in again, but when we were doing House of Glory, that guy was over. Like, Mike Santana had that entire crowd eating out of his hand. I mean, Malik, you were there when you won the, and man, that New York crowd loved Santana. So if he goes into TNA in Long Island, a challenger or as champion, I think that would be a smart play, because he is over in New York for sure.
I only got one issue with him, and it is not anything crazy. He needs to pick and choose. You're either going to represent the Bronx on your vest, or you're going to represent the Lower East Side. You can't have both. you have to pick one, or just put New York, New York. No. Just no.
And listen, I give him a lot of credit, because he walked away from what everyone says the big AEW. He walked away and bet on himself, and it is paying off.
And that's the thing. Can we now transition over to AEW? Can we now transition?
You do it at the beginning so you can get it over with. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna say
wait, one sec. I'm gonna cut you off for 1 second. I just want to say one thing. Remember I said earlier, like, talking about the TNA stuff, like that would be like the dessert. Talking about AEW now is when the bill comes. So this now go ahead, friend.
Damn. So here's the thing. I am a fan of wrestling. So I will do something that most people don't agree that I should do. I will actually take the time to order an AEW pay-per-view. Period. It's my money. I can do what the hell I want for it, right?
Agreed.
I could say that I enjoyed World's End. I can say that I enjoyed the first two Dynamites that have taken place this year. But last week's Dynamite? What are they doing? And it is safe for me to say that New Japan needs to run away, not back away, not walk away, run away from AEW. Like, they have this ongoing partnership with Forbidden Door. It's no longer a Forbidden Door.
No, it's not, because it's just two companies that always wrestle together.
We're seeing more of a Forbidden Door on the other channel than we are seeing on this one. Because the majority of the talent has left New Japan to work here in the States for good reasons. I will not knock anybody for going out to go and get the bag.
Yeah,
But
you earned that money. Yes.
Yes. But it is so hard to sit and watch a New Japan show now and not know who's who, and you see whatever guys that they have left. You don't understand why there's still a Bullet Club. You don't understand why there's still like a let's see, because Bullet. So if we had the NWO, what was it? Didn't they have like an NWO like mid card theme, right?
No, well, I remember at the end when they had the Steiner, Bret Hart, Jeff Jarrett NWO.
They most certainly had a middle tier theme for their NWO guys.
Yes, they did. House of Torture is basically the Bullet Club's like undercard group. Then you got another faction by the name of Just Five Guys, which is now four guys. Sonata left that group to go to everything is all over the place the way I am with this show, and it is just
we're gonna have a conversation about formatting next week, friend.
It is frustrating to sit and watch AEW, but at the same time, when they intertwine New Japan, and they couldn't even promote the Wrestle Dynasty show that took place in Japan.
Right.
Because of their deal with Max, because it's streaming on a completely different app. So there were you could show highlights, but you couldn't say the show by name. It was stupid.
Yep. If you watch the last 3 weeks of Dynamite, and you've never watched AEW before, and you're like, I'm gonna sit down, you're sitting there going, what is going on? Because you have Jon Moxley as your champion, feuding with Hobbs, feuding with Switchblade, feuding with Orange Cassidy. I know he wants to go climb Mount Everest. God bless, hope he's as safe as could be. Darby just leaves. Okay. Yep. Edge is now in the picture. Now Edge is all. I'm sorry. Sir. My apologies. Cope.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
And I would like an apology from you at some point for calling him the overrated R superstar and you getting upset about that.
Okay. So I'm gonna break it down like this. I'm sorry. That now I may have to agree with you.
Okay, fine. That's all I need. He's feuding with Jericho, who I know the whole.
Can I just chime in real quick and say,
please?
Yes. Yes.
The first name was stupid. I didn't think it was possible to have a dumber name than the one he already had. He was able to surpass it. I've been on the same gravy train with Greco about Edge for decades now. I always thought he was way overrated, but it's nice to see that you're finally on board with us.
Here's the thing. I enjoyed the man's body of work from, let's say, the days of Edge and Christian to becoming a solo guy to becoming the rated R superstar. When he came back to WWE, I think the only things that I enjoyed that he did was the little bit of work that he had with Randy Orton, and when he faced Seth Rollins. After that, I gotta say I no longer cared for him. I was defending him because I always thought that in-ring wise and on the mic he was decent enough. But
so I will say when he came back, I didn't think he was awful because he was wrestling guys who were better wrestlers, and he was having like good matches. Like I felt like he wasn't just doing the hell, like he did the Hell in a Cell with Finn and all the hardcore stuff, but the other matches he would do wasn't bad. Like they were entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like he's doing this thing with Amber or with Mox. He's doing this thing with Jericho. Like it's just AEW is so all over the place, and that's just the world title. Omega comes back, who was taken out by the Young Bucks and Perry, but he comes back to go once again feud with Callis because now they have what's his name, Osprey. Well, Osprey comes to make the save, but his boy Fletcher and the Japanese
freaking Brian Cage and Lance Archer and Konosuke
Takeshita, who don't get me wrong, let me tell you, if there was one guy WWE get their hands on that they would make a mega star, Takeshita is it. I love Takeshita.
Absolutely.
But like you're literally doing this feud because now you want Osprey and Omega to team up together. Because it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get to watch my two favorite guys do a match together.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Let's go back to probably last spring, where Jack Perry was allowed to come back, and he attacks Tony Khan, and the Young Bucks attack him, and Okada's getting ready to set up for Rainmaker, and this is basically the AEW takeover. But up in the far distance, all the way in the dark cave, comes Jon Moxley out of nowhere, who's also trying to take over AEW. So what they did was a 2-for-1 takeover deal where they were just like, we got to figure out a way to get rid of this storyline. Hey, Young Bucks, go home. Yeah. Jack Perry, you could be around for the champion, but as soon as you lose that title, you're no longer around on TV. Okada, you're the Continental Champion. Do as you're doing. Just keep going forward. And you're just like, so you dropped one storyline to keep another one going, but Tony Khan has no issue with his world title being carried around in the briefcase, never to be seen on TV,
never be seen, yeah.
never shown. It's some of the stuff just. I was good timing for that. There are some times where it's just like, yo, what are you guys doing? And this is not it.
Yeah.
And Moxley is probably in the greatest shape of his entire career ever.
Looks great, yes.
But what are you doing? They did everything in their power to make Hobbs look strong as best they could in that match.
Yeah,
because he didn't submit and he wasn't pinned, and there was all types of shenanigans thrown into the mix. As far as seeing Kenny Omega back is what AEW needed for a long time. My man was suffering with his health and diverticulitis and so on and so forth. He came back. His first match isn't even on AEW television, which is hilarious. Yep. He wrestles over in the Tokyo Dome on the Wrestle Dynasty show. Had a great match there. Comes back on TV, defeats Brian Cage. And now he's about to be put in the mix where it's him and Ospreay, where they beef with each other, but they're going to work together because, I mean, I'm sorry. You think Omega should... Everything Omega said in this promo where he was like, I'm no longer out for ends, this, and that. And Don Callis interrupts him, and then he just runs up and beats the shit out of him. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it was all like, I'm full of peace and zen and stuff. And then as soon as he saw the man he hates, that was it. I was like, that made sense to do. It made sense to do.
Here is my biggest gripe I see every goddamn week, and I want to pull my eyes out, okay? Moxley and the Death Riders, okay, as they call themselves. They show up in a Jeep every week that's been destroyed 16 times, but okay, fine. And Moxley's always in street clothes. Claudio now has embraced it. Claudio's always in, like, whatever he would wear coming off the street. Wheeler Yuta, like, no problem. Pac, whatever, is always in wrestling gear.
So here's the thing:
you are in Cincinnati in January. It is -6 degrees outside. Why are you in wrestling gear?
First of all, I admire the consistency.
That's the one consistent thing they do.
Because as ridiculous as it is, there was one night I was like, "Yo, it's Brick." You could see the freaking. You just see it right, like the cool air right in front of them as they breathe, and he's just in there, just like hair wet, walking to the building. I was like, "When you get pneumonia,
God,
you'll be the man that the world forgot because that's it."
And it's just like I said, it's all over the place. Everything there's never, first of all, a face never goes over without something happening after the match. Like somebody has to attack the face. Like it just has to happen.
And you know what makes it more annoying is that there will be all these run-ins, but we have a tournament where you're not allowed to run in.
Yeah, and everybody respects that.
Can't we just make that rule for every match? I mean, at this point,
My issue with the Hobbs thing the other day was he gets choked out, and 30 seconds later, he's moving around enough that they start beating him down again. If he got choked out, he should have just laid there. Like, he should have dead cell, like, on the mount, out cold.
AEW loves their afterbirths. If it's one thing that they just strive off of, let's go attack this motherfucker and let's just keep going. It's hopefully not something that will just continue to keep happening. I'm hoping that Moxley loses the title, but losing it to Cope is not something that we need. I wanted to believe that
it's going to be Darby.
I wanted to believe that Darby was going to be the one, seeing as that they're not doing All In the United Kingdom. They're doing it in Texas, which coincidentally is the same day that their whole WWE's holding Saturday Night's Main Event. So you want to talk about being petty? That's definitely one of the ways of going.
I firmly believe that literally Triple H is doing kind of what Vince did to the other places.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants to take personal satisfaction in burying AEW. I think it's kind of it's obvious. At first, it was subtle. Like you didn't want to I don't think he's paying attention. I don't think he really cares. But now, like you're starting to see things where you're like, oh no, I think this is deliberate now.
I'm going to give you one even better. That night, how shocked would you not be if somehow Punk and Cody are in a match together of some type?
Ooh, that's really a way to just kick him in the gut.
Okay, I mean, you do Punk and Cody versus Roman and somebody else and set this on whoever cares.
Because now this Saturday is Collision Homecoming, where they're going to be in Jacksonville, and I'm saying to myself, are y'all going to do an early start time, or are you going to go live at 8:00 like Saturday Night's Main Event?
Good luck.
Because no matter what you do, you could stream both shows.
Right.
So decisions, Saturday Night's Main Event. Like it's already like in your head. And I'm not even looking forward to this Saturday Night's Main Event show. It's kind of just there. Oh wait, I won't be watching it at all. I'll be at the Nets Heat game. So there goes that. Duh. I'll be watching it later. I won't be watching it while it's on live.
I'll be watching live. Like Jay and Gunther will be a good match, but we know the outcome. I honestly don't know any other match that's happening on Saturday.
The only other thing I know is they're doing the contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. I know we're going right back to WWE talk, but it was just one of those things that need to be made mention of, like just how WWE is going to, no matter what, find ways to stick it to AEW without just being so direct on it.
And Sean is going to be like the moderator for that. So Sean probably gets put to a table or something.
I can see that. I mean, with AEW, it's a mixed bag of things. I don't know why we still no matter what, Jericho. I don't even know if he shows up on the Ring of Honor show because I refuse to subscribe to the Honor Club right now. But no, there's no need for it. This is not something that anybody asked for. I don't think.
We said Braun and Fatu are also on the Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah.
So
that's what they got right now.
At least you're giving me two matches. Yes.
I never thought I'd say this, but it's so disappointing to see Chris Jericho work. Like you get so ugh, dude, what are you doing? Like I felt that briefly with The Undertaker at the very, very end where I'm like, no more of this, like at WrestleMania when it was just hard to watch. And you're starting to kind of get that way with Chris Jericho. And I never thought we would get there with him. And it's now hard. It's hard to see him just cut a promo. You're like, dude, shut the fuck up and get out. Go sing. Go do something else.
Because he decided to lean into everybody hating him, and he's just made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I've never been a Jericho guy. Like, I've never seen it. Like, to me, he's just.
You're
I'll tell you this.
now you're joking. Now you're putting me off.
I'm going to tell you dead serious. I'll take Edge over Jericho.
Goodness gracious, that is a ice cold take.
That
I hear you, but I'm not believing you.
I've never been a Jericho guy. I've never other than him and Shawn at 19. I can't sit here and tell you some great Jericho match.
Oh, come on! Don't even go there.
You are right.
All right. When he did the bad guy, when he was the world champion, and he did the second feud with Shawn.
Okay. Other than Shawn, what like match? Other than the Shawn matches, and then other than the tag match where we're not allowed, WWE isn't allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
What like matches do you sit there and go, oh man, you know what match I really think about? I really want to watch Jericho and this.
That's some stuff in WCW.
Well, because I could say it, and I don't work for the company. Jericho and Benoit have had countless number of classics.
The ladder match from the Royal Rumble.
Jericho and Rey Mysterio, who've also had countless of classics.
Buddy, you are, yeah.
Listen, I'm fine. I'm fine being on an island by myself. I don't mind.
Jericho and Eddie Guerrero. Like, what are we doing here? For real?
So you said the ladder match, fine. The Jericho Ray, Jericho Eddie, right? These are matches from 1997. What matches WWE?
Actually, not all of them, because some of the Jericho and Rey Mysterio from 2009, where they were feuding for the IC title, were really good matches. So
yeah, they were. That's the one where he rips
matches,
his
but
619, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. It's not my guy.
Next week's show, I'm gonna go with a top 5 Jericho matches to name for my co-host here, and let's see if he watches them after I make mention of all of them. Okay, and I will be sure not to put in Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, just so that way you could see, because I know that your favorite was going to be made mention. Of course, you're going to pay attention to Shawn Michaels.
Do I get the voice before we sign off?
As you're guilty. It's okay. So there's that.
Dude, I had before we wrap this up, I had a take about Shawn Michaels that you might like at all. Neither that I think, and I'll say this, that in 1997 they should have let him go to WCW instead of. And here's why: he would have personally sank that ship by being a fucking psycho. Like, he would have been partying with his friends so hard that they wouldn't have been able to control him, and he would have sank that ship maybe 2 years earlier.
He might be dead right now.
So that's wild for you to say that, because then it's like, all right, this just means we don't get Hell in the Cell the way we got it. We don't get him breaking his back by getting tossed over a casket. That means that all of the things that happen just don't exist. And then it's like, where would we be with Shawn Michaels then today?
I mean, if you think of it this way,
he'd probably be dead.
No, or
he'd be dead.
Or he could have been saved because his wife was already there when by the time, right? When he went there, she was a Nitro girl, and
she was a Nitro girl. Yeah, okay.
And maybe that
so you just hitting us with multiverse shit right now. That's
so I was just going to say, I think we have after Rumble season, when things slow down a little bit, I think we have a what if episode, and we kind of try some things.
I live in that what if all the time. Like, what if the didn't leave and all that shit all the time. I'll gladly produce those episodes, by the way. So if you want to do those, let me know.
I'm totally down for that.
Listen, every Monday 10:30. So just be ready with topics and stuff, and I'll gladly set you guys up.
Well, friends, I think this is a good first week. Good return.
Absolutely, and don't ever slander Chris Jericho again. That'll be all from me.
That was crazy.
Saturday night, we got Saturday night's main event. We'll definitely be talking about that next week, as well as the, I guess you could say, prelude into the Royal Rumble. We'll do some favorite Rumble moments, try to guess what's going to happen, picks that'll surely go wrong. We'll also discuss, the train wreck that is a show called Dynamite and Collision.
Listen, I watched it for the first time in 2 years this past Wednesday. So 2 years ago, when you talk about this show being around for a while, 2 years ago, when I was trying to do it live, like doing watch-alongs, I tried to do AEW on Wednesdays.
Yo,
it made me so sick to my stomach. I got yelled at by Brandon.
So
those were my
before
favorite. I got to tell you right now, I kind of miss those Wednesdays because he would be so upset, and I was just like, "Are these two really angry at each other right now?"
I will 100% say this, and I agree with, and Malik said this in another chat of ours. Watch the first year of AEW compared to now, and I want to know how this went like this very quickly.
Hold on a sec. I got a thing for you.
You fucking mark!
That's how. That's exactly how.
On that note, friends, I am Mike Greco. You could follow me at Greco_club, as you see on the screen over here. Go ahead, friend.
I'm Malik, or I'm Chocolate is the Bald Guy, or I'm Jamal Jackson, one of those names that's in there. You could follow me at I Love Wrestling History, which is my wrestling page, where I post a whole bunch of matches of the day from yesteryear, from 30 years ago, 35 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 10 years ago. So you can check that out. I just uploaded today, what was it? The Rock versus Kane versus The Big Show in a
Big show.
triple threat battle royal. It was a triple threat battle royal lumberjack match. Very weird. Very weird concept. I don't know what they were doing in 2000, but that happened 25 years ago today.
Jesus. Before you guys wrap up, I just want to point out that there is also an attachment to this show on every Thursday. It's going to be a pre-recorded video. It's from me called Tony's Takes, where I just kind of take one topic within the current thing in wrestling and just talk about it. The very first topic this Thursday is going to be why Hulk Hogan was actually booed. I know that everybody has speculation as to why. Everybody has their own opinions as to why. But if you really look at it, you could kind of see why. It's not fucking, I mean, I'll briefly tell you. I mean, when we were coming up, we were watching wrestling, and you would bring up like Bruno Sammartino or old guys. How many times did we roll our eyes and be like, "Don't give a shit about that," right? I think that's where we are with Hogan. I think that's where the entire wrestling world is with him, unfortunately. The problem is, and I said this yesterday, they're not booing Hulk Hogan. They're booing Terry Bollea. So that's a real problem. So
Correct.
that's what it's about. And like I said, we'll talk about that on Thursday. It's not like I said, it's pre-record every Thursday. It's going to be attached. It's going to be sponsored by Spot Monkey Radio. So I just wanted to promote that. These guys will be every Monday live, 10:30 a.m. promptly. We're going to get you ready for the week of wrestling. I figured, we could have done it at night. Yeah, we could have done it during shows. But I would rather you guys be like the precursor to the week in wrestling rather than just another wrestling show that talks after everything happens. So every Monday, 10:30 a.m., you can see these two fine gentlemen talk wrestling, break it down. And every Thursday, you'll see Tony's Takes. We also still have the following conversation is scheduled for fall featuring Cheyenne Ortiz. He's currently, working out his episodes because he's, got a list of people. I thank you, Roll Keeper. Roll Keeper has been with us on the Toy Channel. Now he's coming.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you very much, buddy. And this will grow. It will continue to grow. I promise you guys. Consistency is key. So let's just do it. You guys did a great job tonight. Today, I should say, but for real. And I am looking forward to next Monday. Until next Monday, this has been Spot Monkey Radio. That's Mike. That's Malik. I am producer Tony and my beautiful wife, Dominique. Until next time, take it easy, guys. And I think